Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm Tyler from the Unemployed Architects. This week I'm going to be talking about my shows this last weekend. I played at Houdinis Spirits in LeRoy on Friday night, and then Saturday I played at the Station, which was at the Uptown Normal train station, kind of a holiday show. I feel exhausted this week, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't know. I just can't really get my sleep cycle quite right. I feel like last week was like perfect, but this week I've just been struggling, I don't know why. Just been staying up too late, I get in the habit of staying up late on the nights of the shows and then have to work in the morning, and that doesn't ever really pan out very well. I don't know why I make that choice, but I work from 9 to like 8 o'clock, and then I usually work out from like 8:15 to 9:15. I usually have to pick up Lo from work and then get back, and it's like 10:30 by the time we're sitting down eating dinner. And just a lot of times I feel like, by the time we get to the end of the day, it's like our time to hang out. Even though I'm exhausted from such a long day most of the time, I want to enjoy a little bit of it, and I don't want to just eat and go to bed at 10:30, so I stay up way later than I need to. And I think this week is just catching up with me a little bit, so I'm finally, I think, caffeinated enough to maybe talk a little bit. I don't know how this is gonna go. So I am very sleepy. But Friday night, we played at Houdinis in LeRoy, and pretty regular for us to play there. But this time, Blair had hit me up a while back to see if he could play on this show, which to me was a little bit of a weird choice because it's a tiny, tiny bar with not much pay, but he just had the night off, so I guess I was like, yeah, anytime we can have Blair is always ups the fun factor a little bit, most of the time, and I was a little bit nervous about having him there just because, with 2 or 3 people, it seems to be kind of a tight squeeze and maybe a little bit too loud. So with a 4th person, I was nervous, but having him there, even though I had to bring the extra gear and the extra sound stuff and the extra person, so we had less space. He was there to kind of help do the sound check and help everything, move along with setting up. And I used my in-ears, so I didn't feel like it was too loud. I didn't feel like it was too loud just all around, just gauging people's reactions. And people always, they always like the X factor I think Blair kind of brings to my songs. And then also, his 80s covers that he does, people just kind of love. It's, 80s were a fun time for, I think, music. It's just happy kind of, and you get a little bit of nostalgia going. So I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. Of course, there's the dichotomy that, my songs, some of the songs are just like awesomely fun, and I'm pleasantly surprised that he nails his parts. And then sometimes we try a song that, we haven't played in forever, and it doesn't go great. We get through it regardless, and it's passable, but and it works both ways. I'm saying that I mess up in some of his songs too. It's not like, but it's about, I would say 70-30. We do 70% like pretty solidly, and then 30%'s a little bit rough. Definitely not like how it used to be back in the olden days when he would play every Friday and Saturday with us. But it's just a fun change of pace, and we're happy to have him whenever we can. He actually told us he was gonna we have a show at the Castle coming up not too long from now, January 4th, playing with the Henhouse Prowlers and Chicago Farmer. We're kind of one of the openers. It's only a 30-minute set, but it'll be fun. I haven't played at the Castle for a long time, so I'm just excited to be there. And Blair said he was going to come. Try to convince Kev, but he has scheduling conflicts, so unfortunately I don't think he's going to be there. Would have been a lot of fun to have all 5 of us, but four will have to do, and that's that's about as close to full band as I've played in a while, so it'll be fun. I was kind of looking forward to this Friday show. I'm not doing the foot drums for Friday or Saturday because I've done them like the last month at every show, and I'm just like, sometimes it's nice to just play and sing a little bit. But anyway, so Blair brought his beat buddy, and Dave always likes when I do the foot percussion because he can kind of play off of it a little bit. He can have a little bit more fun with it when he doesn't have to like hold down the basic part of the beat. But anyway, it was fine. I'm glad I did it. It sounded really full and I think really good for the most part on Friday. And it's just always fun to have everybody there and everybody in good spirits, and that's the problem, I think, with playing every Friday and Saturday. The good spirits part kind of wanes a little. So everybody was just excited to be there. But and we got lots of really good reactions from the crowd. It was a little bit of an older crowd, so they really ate up that 80s stuff for sure. And it was just fun all around. It was a lot of work, but it was good. And then so Saturday, the Uptown Station, I did a one mic setup with just Lo and I, so no foot percussion, no in-ears, just my condenser mic, my pedal board, and the JBL as the main speaker. And, I was trying to keep the volume pretty low because, we're not there to blast everybody out. And you still got to hear, like, the train announcements and whatnot. So I think it was a good choice. We had a couple, repeat fans come out. So it was good to see those guys. One of them's kind of a younger lady, and she likes to come out and just dance for the whole set, which is just, I'm glad she enjoys it. I would be tired if I worked as hard as she did, probably. But she came out, and she got a lot of the other older kids dancing and stuff, and really upped the show a little bit. I played a lot of Christmas tunes on this one because, I teach guitar, so I kind of already know a lot of these Christmas songs. I probably know about 10, and I just, play them throughout, and I'll do a lot of repeats because the turnover rate of the people waiting in line to see Santa is pretty high. So it's like every 40 minutes it's like a whole new crowd essentially. So I try to put those songs on repeat, and it's kind of fun, change of pace, different songs, different crowd, different. The performance is just way different when you're doing the one mic, me and Lo just sharing one. It's definitely different from our performance perspective, and I think it's a different thing from the audience perspective. But we played okay. I don't think it was the best show. It's just hard to get in the gear of things at 1 in the afternoon. Like I always like today I practiced already. I practiced this morning. I always practice in the morning to try to, be ready for shows like that. Like. It's like practicing with weights, kind of, because your voice is so not warmed up that you can't. It's really, really like challenging. I feel like to sing earlier. So I do that pretty much when I practice every time, because then when I sing at night, it's like seems like more of a breeze. But you never know what to expect vocally. No matter what you do, you can plan, you can practice. And your brain might not be working as good either, on less sleep and all that stuff, like mine right now, where it's not quite functioning right. Of course, I drank enough caffeine both that day and today to, make me functional, but whether it's like a smooth functional is a little bit questionable. So, but, we got through it. It was a long show. 3 hours is a long time. My brother, his wife, and their kids all came out, and they seemed to have fun, so that was good to see them. And, my niece and my nephew were dancing around a lot, and, there's a lot of stuff to climb on at the Uptown train station, so that was probably fun for them. And it was just, it was pretty good all around. I don't think it was, my best performance necessarily, but it was a relaxed performance, which I think is a good thing to have those once in a while where I'm not just stressed out peak tell performance time, and then the performance part is stressful too, because I've got doing the foot drums and kind of it all relying on me to do all the words and the vocals and the guitar and the drum, so that stuff can be stressful sometimes. So this was a very, very laid back kind of afternoon type show, and I think I needed that really. But I didn't eat all day for some reason. I tend to try to fast for as long as I can every day anyway, but usually show days I have kind of more of a routine. But since it was an earlier show, it was just hard to find a good time to eat, and because I don't like eating right before I sing. It kind of weighs me down a little bit. So by the end of the show, I think we got packed up around 5. I was just feeling a little sick, so I got some food in me. We ended up, Lo and I just kind of walked around Uptown normal. They do they're pretty intense. Uptown Normal is just intense all around. Like they pay us like really good for these random holiday things, or like when we play at the Uptown Circle, they are always just very generous on what they have some money set aside for musicians, which is super cool. So we're always happy to do anything like that. And like I said, playing those holiday songs is a change of pace for sure, and trying to get everybody in the Christmas spirit. But they, like outside in the Uptown, they put these blue Christmas lights in every tree, and it just lights up the whole street, and it looks really cool. It was a little chilly, but we walked around and ate, and Lo and I don't really get a lot of Fridays or Saturdays to just hang out really, or go out and do something, because we play every Friday and Saturday, so the whole day revolves around shows. So Sunday's usually our day, but we're usually so beaten down from the week that like we just lay on the couch mostly. And now, in being winter, it's even tougher to convince myself to go out and like try to do stuff. And when we do get a Friday or Saturday off, it's usually just one. It's not both. And we spend every Friday and Saturday in a bar pretty much, so it's hard to convince ourselves to go out and support live music. We do it occasionally. We try to make an effort. I think she's better about making me make the effort to do it. But once we get there, I always have a good time. But it's just a matter of, working all week, and then you get that one Friday night off. You're like, I'd much rather just lay low. But when we do make it out, it usually is fun, and it's nice to support, other bands, and it's just tough to convince ourselves to do it. But anyway, so this Saturday night we got to go and kind of walk. It wasn't like a long time or anything, but I mean it was maybe an hour and a half of just kind of walking around. We got some food. We went to the coffee house, got some coffee. She got a coffee. I got an apple cider. I'd never had apple cider before. So, and then we stopped at some other places, got some food for later. And it was, it was just like something different, something fun, something change of pace type. So that was good. I think we were home by like 7:30 or 8, and then we ate a little bit, and I just passed out till about 11 o'clock. So that's usually what our Friday and Saturday nights entail, is us if we don't have a show, trying to stay awake is half the battle. But anyway, so that was Saturday. I finally decided how I think I'm gonna do our next album. So I didn't really dream it, but I had a dream that reminded me of a time that I had actually thought about. I know this is really convoluted, but I had a dream of a time that I had an idea for what my next album should be. And, I kind of forgot about it because it's been a while since I've thought about it. And then, I woke up with kind of remembering this idea I had had. And so what I think I'm going to do, it's been weird because I've been releasing singles, for the last 5 years, just almost a single a year, essentially. And, trying to figure out the best way to release that as an album is pretty tough. And I haven't, if I was just doing studio stuff, I'd only be up to 5 tracks, which is only half of probably an album. So it would take me another 5 years to get that done. So I started doing the iPad recording and stuff. And I think it's turning out good. I started another song and I'm liking the way it's sounding. It has a completely different vibe than the stuff I do in the studio. And I'm going to release that as a single. I did the Riot Red and released that as a single. It has a different vibe than the rest of the stuff. And just kind of trying to feel that out. And so what I think I'm going to do, I've always kind of wanted to do a double disc anyway. But I'm not going to do a full double disc because that would be insanely expensive to print out 2 CDs for, just one person to buy. Essentially buy two disc would, for printing and all that stuff, would be like astronomical. And I think that's just too much content anyway to expect somebody to listen to. So what I'm doing is kind of like a double disc, but it's like 2 EPs essentially. So I had this idea to call it the lock and the reel. So the kind of the meaning behind it, the lock will be like 5 or 6 tracks of stuff I've done in the studio. And in the studio you're limited. You're limited and you're limited and unlimited, like both in 2 different ways. So you're limited because time is money. You're paying $60 an hour to be in there, and it takes a while to get a good solid recording of something. And a whole album, is, thousands and thousands of dollars plus printing cost on top of that, plus, releasing, I don't know, like just you're limited. You can pretty much do, time is money. So you're trying to get as much done as you can, as fast as you can, but make it sound as good as you can. But in the vice versa, you also have this unlimited like reservoir of like instruments and stuff you can add to songs that, like at home when I record, I'm pretty limited what I can do on an iPad, even though it's surprising how much you can actually do on an iPad. There's still a lot of things that you can't do, and in the studio you can do, sky's the limit for anything. You can put 25 backing vocals if you want. You can track like an unlimited amount of things. You can add any instrument in the form of like MIDI input, where you're just inputting instrument sound. Like I could do a cello on the keyboard and just kind of write a cello part, and then I can use the MIDI controller to kind of play it, and then they can tighten it up, or I could bring in my cello and actually, which I've done this before too, and actually play a cello part, or have like, I had for Hideaway, the first song I released after my last album, I had a violinist and she played viola, so she came in and did those parts, and I did the cello part, and I had it all written and kind of composed before we went in there. But then, we went in there, and time is money, so just do whatever you can as fast as you can. And it's just a completely different mentality than recording at home. So the lock is the studio, you're kind of locked into what you're doing in a lot of ways. So, and then the reel, which would be part 2 of the double EP CD, I guess, will be kind of all the stuff I do on like the home recording side of things. And I've opened that up quite a bit as far as like, I've gotten a nice microphone. That's what I'm recording this on. And I think that really makes all the difference. And for the new track with the new mic, the acoustic I just laid down recently, sounds like really, really good. And then I recorded live congas from our conga player Dave, and I think those ended up sounding really good. So just got bass and vocals and backing vocals and maybe like an electric guitar. But I'm it's kind of more I think really what we sound like a lot of the time in some ways. I don't think the lock is like anti what we sound like, but the real, we're more limited as far as what we can do. So we can't add any crazy instrumentation, any crazy orchestrations or anything. So it just kind of is what it is. There's not as much production value. It's more about the songs and the quality of the instruments you can record. So that's what we're kind of looking at. And I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about because recording is such an available thing nowadays. Like if you have an iPad, you can record stuff almost as good as in the studio. It's so, like back in the day, you'd have to get a record label to back you. You'd sign a record deal. They'd give you money and provide like a really nice studio and some good engineers to record you an album. And then you'd owe them the money. And a lot of times, you wouldn't make that money back. But, sometimes you would, and then you could record another album. And it's just not like that anymore. Anybody can record at any time. And there's just so much content out there at all times. Like there's just being more made every day, like millions of songs every day being made. And, the reservoir just gets deeper and deeper. It's weird to think that there'll never be a Beatles again, never be a Johnny Cash or an Elvis again or a Michael Jackson even. I was watching this thing on Facebook and it was like the quarterly earnings of, the just popular musicians and who had the most. So it was like the top earning recording artist. And like after the 80s, it just gets so bad. Like Nirvana in the 90s was like the last good band that you really see. I don't know. It's weird to think about. But everything's so, specialized nowadays that, if you like this genre of music, you'll probably just dive into that genre and you don't even have to listen to anything else. So whereas back then it was all about radio plays and stuff like that, it's just so not only is the reservoir getting deeper as every day with how much content there actually is, so that makes it super hard to stand out as a musician anyway. But then also the medium that you're listening to the music on is way different. So it's just, I don't know, it's just a whole different world really. And so with this album, as opposed to my last album, the last album I took 3 years to record, just kind of recording when I could, didn't release anything the whole time, lost tons of steam and tons of fans moved away and forgot about us kind of while we didn't put anything out for 3 years. So I think this is better. This is a better way to do it. I just wasn't really sure how to tie it all together, but I think this will be just a different, it's a different approach for sure, but it's kind of two different albums in one. And I don't know, I'm pretty excited about it. I've recorded, so I've had 5 releases. I'm probably going to shoot for getting, 6 more done maybe. And, maybe I'll end up with just 10 songs or something like that. And that'll be the next album. So I'm really hoping to not spend 5 years on the second half of this album. But, now doing the iPad stuff, and then what I do is I send it to Jeff to just mix and master after I track it. And super easy, and that way I can, record when I feel like recording. And then, for the songs that need more orchestration, I will, go in the studio still, but I won't be spending thousands and thousands of dollars, for an album. I'll be spending probably half as much, which is good. But anyway, so I was excited about that, so I thought I would talk about that a little bit. And so yeah, that was the shows this last weekend and the upcoming album that's kind of in the works. I'm sure I'll talk more about that in the future. But and then this weekend we have Kilkenny's Friday and Saturday again. So I am I'm feeling a little, I don't know what the word is, just a little, jaded. That's the word I'm looking for. Jaded on these Kilkenny shows. They're fun and everything when I get there, but it's a whole weekend of stuff, and then, you're staying the night, and it's just a lot of, driving 2 hours. Like, my whole day tomorrow is going to be revolving around that show, so it's just tough to get super excited about it, but I know it'll be fun when I'm there. I think the problem is we did the last Kilkenny show too recently, like it was only 3 weeks ago that we were just there. So I'm gonna try to make more of a habit of spacing them out, so it's more of like a treat than, because I'm already feeling the week, and I know I'm not gonna get much sleep these next few days, and then have to be back at work. Thankfully, we'll have the holidays after that, so I'll get a couple extra days hopefully to catch up, but I'm just dragging. Just the winter time, I feel like, for a musician, for anybody, not just for musicians, is tough. But then having to lug your stuff around, and then, you don't start your job until nighttime. So, I mean, usually when in the summer when you drive to a show, it's like, oh, the sun's like getting low, and maybe you'll watch the sunset like right when you get to a place or right before you get to a place. Now it's like 5 o'clock is like dark, so it's like, it just feels like it's over, before you even start. Like, the whole night is like, it feels like 10 p.m. by the time you leave for a show. I don't know, but that's where I'm at. It'll be fun. I just gotta try to get some sleep tonight, and then I'll have to get in that superhero mindset of like putting on a show, because that's what it's all about. So that'll be what I'm talking about next week. Sounds like Dave might show up one of the nights for the shows. Oh, that's my phone going off. I'm just gonna leave that in, but it looks like it was a spam caller anyway. But anyway, so that's what I'll be talking about next week, and thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Have a good one.